Hi guys, in this video we're going to talk about outlining of your image. And well, here you can see a bunch of outliners that I have at my disposal. That's not all the colors that I have, however it's a good chunk of them. In most of cases, however, you will need to have black outliner and black metallic outliner. These are classics, like in suits. Black suit is a classic and all the rest is also possible. Well, these guys I'm using either to have special effects for my painting, just adding a bit inside, or to have some borders colorful, like for example in this image. One more thing that I forgot to tell you in my first video is that how to choose outliner. If you're going to a shop and you want to buy some outliner and you have 5 or 10 companies or different boxes of outliners, two things which you need to note from my personal opinion. First one is the tip of outliner. It's the necessary part. So the thin tip and thin hole means that you'll have lines with thinner color. And second of all, it's the softness of the packaging. So what's the forces needed to get out the paint like this. I hope you see. So if the force is not so big, that means that you can control very nicely thickness and the amount of paint taken out from the box, which is rather important. And the last comment which I want to give you before we go to a practical part is this type of outliners. So this is also outliner which is coming in a metal box. Do not buy this shit. It's not usable, I think. I spent much time, I tried several times in the beginning, later on, and each time I had big issues with consistency, with control of thickness and overall properties of outlining process. So, my opinion, this is shit. This is good. Oh yeah, and that's the other outliners which you can find on the market, like in Europe or US. Well, these are more famous companies than this one. Okay, so let's move to the practical part. Okay, so moving to the outlining. First of all, how to outline by itself. You need to sit down comfortably and nice and imagine that the outliner is like a pencil or a brush. So you're just gonna be pointing the edge where the paint goes off to the glass, keep it like this as you would keep your pen, and simply push the outliner box and draw some random lines. Essentially, outlining is very easy if you get used to it, and in order to get used to it, you would better try to outline some simple forms. As in writing, it's necessary to have simply practice. And as a practice, you can use either printed lines or figures or shapes. Like, for example, it can be just a simple line, parallel lines or something like this, or maybe some zigzags, or some kind of shapes and other stuff. Like, for example, you know this school sheets which they're using to teach you how to draw letters in a proper way. One of the important things which is you need to note and you need to learn is how to draw semicircular shapes. Like here, for example, I'm gonna copy the image of the paper towel, and yeah, and essentially outlining is easy task. Is not hard at all. The question is simply practice good enough. And when you're going to consider to pick some image to practice, which I would highly recommend you, try to take it simple, with simple lines, without Mona Lisa and all this kind of stuff. As I did this mistake, and I need to say that, well, I destroyed a bunch of paintings and was not happy at all. When you try to print it, try to pick some image or just simply do it in Word, which would have different types of lines. So for example, it should have some very thin lines, like this. It should have some a bit thicker lines. It might have some very thick lines, might have some dots, for example, or semicircular shapes, or whatever else you can imagine. By training this a bit, which I highly recommend, you would simply get used to the fact that your hand would not shake, you would not produce this kind of not straight line or line when you have at some moments a bit thicker and a bit thinner parts. Though thicker and thinner parts might be a useful thing, for example, when you want to do something like this. However, all of this can be done only while practicing. There is no theory in this, I would say. And one more note which I would like to tell you is that essentially one of the important parts while outlining, you want to make sure that your outliner, I don't know if it can be seen, it's very nicely stays on the surface, so there are no holes between outliner and glass. If you have holes, it might lead to the paint passing through the borders, which you don't want, as paint is very liquid typically. One more thing for you to consider with outliners is that some of the outliners, even from the same company, they have different viscosity. Which do I mean? For example, this black one which I used, it's quite liquidy, this particular one. So you see, it's kind of very easy flowing, and you can draw whatever you want with whatever speed you like. However, the glitter outliners, which are like this one, so they contain some shiny parts inside already, which makes it like kids design or whatever. They are much less liquidy and much less adherent to surface. I'm gonna show to you right now what do I mean. So, for example, here I'm gonna try to do this very fast drawing with this guy, and you'll see what I mean. You see? There are a bunch of parts on the surface. Well, I'm gonna try to give you for a closer look. You see, there are a bunch of spots where outliner did not adhere to glass, and therefore the border is not solid. In this case, what you need to do, you will need to push a bit more outliner and move a bit slower in order to make sure that you have enough outliner on the border. The next step that you will need to do is you need to pick some painting, print it on a piece of A4 paper like this. For example, well, this kind of bird I'm going to paint in one of the videos. You're going to just simply put it like that, put your glass on top of it, and then, well, then what you can simply do, you can just follow the borders of the painting, well, just by copying the stuff like this, and so on. So basically that's how you outline. And I would highly advise you to pick mandalas images like these ones. They are, I would say, very nice for practice. Do not run for picking some super extreme hard mandalas, as you will probably on the beginning, unless you're a talented guy or a lady or a girl, you would have a bunch of mistakes, and that makes you not happy while investing your time without getting nice outcome. Mandalas are good objects as they have round parts, they have straight parts, so and quite often they have thicker and thinner lines, so you can practice different things with them. Well, that's all what I wanted to tell you about outlining process. I hope it was useful for you. If you have any questions, ask me in the comment section, and hope to see you next time on this channel. See you!